3, 2, 1. Didn't mean to swear. Hello. Sorry, I'm not feeling my best right now, but I wanted to do a video. I'll explain why. Anyone that lives in London or has been to London will know about Camden Town and the clubs that it has there and the bars that it has there. And I spent my Friday night out in Camden Town after a long day, drank twice the amount of my body weight in alcohol, had some shots that for all I know may have been car petrol, because it was one of those ones where you knock it back and it gets in your eyes and your nose and your chest, and then drank a lot of Guinness and a lot of Southern Comfort neat. And not only did I end up with a really bad hangover, approximately 2 days later I've had this flu now for the week, so you can hear my voice, I do not feel too good. So I'm going to do this video. All the people who are expecting a wrestling video, that's coming. Give it 5 minutes. I'm going to upload it. I'm going to talk about some stuff there. But this is going to be an MMA video, and I want to talk about the UFC on Fox show that's coming up, plus the TUF show, the Ultimate Fighter. But that will be a lot more brief. Anyways, sorry, distracted by that. So, the UFC on Fox show is interesting to me for a number of reasons, because, and I don't know if people have talked about it enough, but people are talking about it. But it's going to be a great show. Matt Brown versus Mike Swick, going to be an enjoyable fight. Alexander Gustafsson versus Mauricio Shogun, who is going to be an interesting fight. That looks like it's a fight to build Gustafsson and really build his name up. And then, of course, you've got the Nate Diaz and Ben Henderson fight. And if you go back to a year ago when I did a video, I said, would 2012 be a good year to Ben Henderson? And I said it would be. And you now fast forward to the current time we're in, and he's had a good year. He's been the world champion now of the 155-pound weight class. And he's, main eventing the UFC on Fox show. So, he's had a tremendous year. But one fight that sticks out to me more than any of those fights is, of course, BJ Penn and Rory McDonald. And I'll tell you what, speaking straight from my heart and my mind, this fight is fascinating to me. And I've been thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking about this fight, and I just wanted to talk about it. So, to me, the last time we saw BJ Penn, he fought Nick Diaz. After that fiasco with George St. Pierre and Nick Diaz, and Nick being pulled from the fight, and then Carlos being put in his place, and then we got Nick versus BJ Penn. And when they put that fight together, I saw that fight almost as a changing of the guard, a passing of the torch moment. Because you have the guy that's always been considered the warrior in BJ Penn, the fighter BJ Penn, against the guy that the people love right now, Nick Diaz. And I've never seen anybody, and I mean anybody, beat BJ Penn in the way that Nick Diaz did. He pounded on that guy's head like a male porn star pounds on Ava Devine when he's getting brain from her. It was bloody tremendous. I couldn't believe it. I just watched the fight and I was like, the whole time. And then, of course, there was the announcement afterwards that BJ Penn was going to take some time away from the sport. And it was heavily implied that he was going to retire. And we didn't hear a thing from him in a while. And it was kind of presumed that he'd retired. And then, of course, in that time, Rory McDonald had really done a lot to kind of build himself at that weight class. Many people think he's the John Jones of 170. Many people are calling him the next George St. Pierre. George St. Pierre has even come out and done interviews saying that he thinks that Rory McDonald is better than how he was at that stage in his career. And I can see why people might think that. Rory is an exciting fighter, always in great shape, and he has that killer instinct, and he just comes to put guys out. And if you want to see someone that's going to fight, Rory is a great fighter. And now you've got this combination of him and BJ Penn now. And to me, it's like, what's going to happen? What is actually going to happen? And I thought right away that Rory would, youth, strength, the fact that he's the next St. Pierre or the John Jones of 170, he could go out there and he could really, really lay a beating on BJ Penn. and probably, I don't want to say put the final nail in the coffin, but be, one of BJ's last fights. But then I saw footage of BJ Penn, and I looked at it and I thought, BJ's fired up. Rory McDonald said he saw BJ Penn and he looked fat or something in the summer, and for some reason that triggered BJ Penn. And then I saw these pictures of BJ and he looked lean, he looked in great shape from an aesthetic standpoint, and he looked like he'd been dieting, he looked like he'd been training, he looked like he took and is taking Rory McDonald 100% seriously. And that begs the question, what's going to happen at UFC on Fox? Are we going to see the resurrection of BJ Penn, perhaps the greatest fighter in the history of the sport, arguably? Are we going to see the resurrection of BJ Penn? Because the show is set up in a sense that we're either going to see the resurrection of the legendary, the iconic BJ Penn, the warrior, the guy that comes out to fight, or we're going to see the elevation and rise of the star of Rory McDonald. So we're going to see one or the other. So I want to ask everyone else out there, what do you think is going to happen? Is Rory McDonald going to overwhelm BJ and is his star going to blow up? Or is BJ Penn going to resurrect and really lay a beating on Rory McDonald that we've never seen before? Are we going to see the BJ Penn that came in and toyed with Diego Sanchez for 5 rounds and busted him open and just left him all bloody? And that could be a possibility considering Rory just had that deep cut, that deep laceration above the eyebrow. And I wouldn't be surprised if BJ closes the distance on him, that he goes straight for that and tries to bust him open. BJ makes fighters bleed, if you look throughout his career. And when they bleed heavily. And that could play a factor in Rory's mind. And I could see BJ, starting to take over from that point. And then if BJ wins, what does that mean? What's going to happen next? Does BJ, does BJ then go to continue at 170, make a petition to fight for the title? Does he fight perhaps a Nate Marquardt when he moves over? Is he going to fight at 155 again? Or is he going to retire with the win? That could be a possibility. You just don't know. But that fight intrigues me. The 155-pound title fight intrigues me. Ben Henderson and Nate Diaz. I'll tell you what, this is my opinion of 155. I don't know if I've said it enough, but in my honest opinion, the lightweight weight class is the most competitive and perhaps the toughest weight class in all MMA right now. You've got a litany of talent in that weight class. Just outside of the UFC, or just outside of the UFC, you think of people like Gilbert Melendez and Josh Thompson, who will be moving over soon. You think of someone like Michael Chandler, and you think of Eddie Alvarez and Shinya Aoki, and those are great fighters. And then you go within the UFC and you look at the people in there. You look at Clay Guida, Gray Maynard, Anthony Pettis, Donald Cerrone, Ben Henderson, Nate Diaz, Frankie Edgar, who, in my opinion, the only reason he's going to 145 is because they want to sort some things out at 155 and put other people there. Plus, Aldo needs a guy with a name, and I think that's why they've moved him there. But I'll tell you what, no one seriously put him out of the game. No one seriously laid a complete beating on him where you said, you know what, he needs to drop down. In fact, in his last fight, people thought he won. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see him back there. And in my opinion, we should see him back there. But I understand that they want to kind of clear the way. They want some other fights to come up. But you just look through all the fighters there, the talent that's there and the number of exciting fights that you can have there. And in my opinion, and this is just the way I see it, the guy that dominates 155 pounds, the guy that is the dominant lightweight champion and can beat all those names that we've mentioned and names that I haven't mentioned, in my opinion, that guy, more so than George St. Pierre, more so than Anderson Silva, more so than John Jones, more so than Junior Dos Santos, more so than Jose Aldo, more so than Dominic Cruz, more so than Demetrius Johnson, should be considered the pound for pound best fighter in the world. Because to beat all those guys and dominate in that weight class, to me, is nothing short of impressive. And just to wrap it up, people are talking about The Ultimate Fighter and how that can be revamped and how that can be worked on, because it's been many years now, and we're in what, maybe our 15th or 16th season, I'm not too sure. And obviously we're going to have Chael Sonnen and John Jones, and that should be interesting. People are going to watch that. But after that, I really feel that the Ultimate Fighter needs revamping. And in my opinion, if you're going to do it, what they need to do is they need to have Ronda Rousey as one coach, and either Miesha Tate or Chris Cyborg. If they can't get Cyborg because apparently they just want to do a 135 division, then have Miesha Tate. It's a big rematch. You already have the story there. They hate each other. They're not going to hold back in interviews. It's an easy fight to build up. It's a great way to introduce Ronda Rousey to the division. It's a great way to present Miesha Tate to the division. And they keep talking about, oh, well, the division's not deep enough. We don't have enough names. We need to build a division. Well, here's a perfect way to build that division. You get 2 female coaches, and then you get some female contestants. And that could be, for women's MMA, what the first season of The Ultimate Fighter was for the UFC. And that's just my theory. I think you could completely develop a division. You've got 2 female coaches, you've got a big fight there. You've now built up maybe 2 or 3 female fighters from the show who are contestants. And hopefully this gets younger females interested, and that sparks some interest. Because to me, if you do that, you set off a chain reaction. I'm going to stop, do the next video. Really apologise for my voice. It's really bad right now, but I'm going to head out, write some comments. Thank you everyone that comes down to my channel, by the way. I love every one of you. You've really cheered me up throughout the last year. And I'm so grateful that all of you come down here and, write your comments and say what you want to say and, like the videos and share them. And even that fucker that said I was gayer than Justin Bieber, I've got love from my heart for you. Anyways, I gotta get out of here and I'll see you soon.